today, Tinja Anderson's going to speak. I'll let her explain what she's an expert on: taxes, structuring sales, um, all the stuff that we want to know but don't know, and can save us lots of money and can be really strategic. Tinja, thank you for coming on. I'm going to let you kind of do your thing and then we'll ask questions. But thank you.
Yeah, so happy to be here. I know it was like drinking from a fire hose on the Facebook Live. Today I'm happy to go down whichever rabbit hole y'all want to go down. Ultimately, I am a business financial consultant. That is layman's terms for I basically grow and preserve, like help y'all grow and preserve your wealth in whatever capacity that looks like. So when we are growing and scaling, ultimately we're planning for the end in mind, the sale of the business, figuring out what post-sale actually looks like. How do we retain as much of that capital in our pockets as possible, right? We don't want to give anything to the IRS that we don't have to. Creating the LLC, separate business entity, to solve for a giant tax problem so that we're not whittling away inside the business, right? So we're basically buying heavy equipment inside of a separate business, inside of a separate LLC, but it's through easy equipment. So let's say we need $1 million in depreciation, just going to throw out the round number. We're going to put down 10% for the capital that buys the $1 million worth of equipment. We finance the rest of it. So it's a 5-year term. Because it's being rented out, we're getting that rental income that's coming back in is covering that debt service because of the financing. And it's also creating an additional return on investment on top of it.
If you have a $500,000 tax, you know you're going to have to pay taxes on $500,000 of profit.
Yeah.
You could essentially get rid of all of it through one of these strategies.
We are saving over, $6,500 just on that one kid. So it's not significant. It still moves the needle, especially when we're shifting income and saving on the personal expense side as well. If you're a business owner and you own properties, like if you're not sure what that is, like if you're investing in real estate and you are doing a buy and hold strategy and you have short-term rentals, commercial properties, like it doesn't work for long-term rentals unless you have a spouse that's a real estate professional. The challenge is if you do a cost seg study and take accelerated depreciation and you sell the property, within 5 years, you run the risk of recapture, which is paying back the taxes that you took depreciation on.
So you want to pay maximum rent towards the property LLC because now that's more of a write-off for your business LLC.
You can actually create a holding company. So I would actually suggest that you both create separate holding companies, and then you're going to create a management company where the profit goes to that. When we are looking at making you bulletproof just from a 30,000 foot view of your entire operations, we are looking at trust structuring. So a domestic asset protection trust with a limited power of appointment. So the objective when we're looking at the overall risk management is to own nothing and control everything. Really diversifying and your burn rate. You don't need all of that cash just sitting. Figuring out how to build out that overall ecosystem. So diversifying the assets that you have or cash on the books. Cash is just basically losing to inflation. It's just sitting there. So ultimately, we are creating arbitrage because that line of credit, let's just say it's like 5%, right? So it's the bond portfolio is doing about 7%. We create 2% positive arbitrage. It goes into something making 18%. So overall, we're making 20% off of that original asset. And now we have 2 assets. So when a company gets a PO, they don't have the cash flow to create the product. The sales cycle is slow. So their cash on hand is creating a bottleneck. We are paying for them to be able to actually deliver on that PO. And so we get an 18% return. Basically, you get return of capital plus the 18%. You can decide to re-roll it in for the next round if you like. So getting a little bit more strategic on like where you're deploying funds and figuring out what's available. So a lot of these alternative investments aren't going to be available at a normal like advisory firm. Does that make sense? This is how the rich stay rich, because we're able to actually play that game on a much larger scale